The Biden administration. Find a scapegoat for everything you've done wrong. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bubba Line for Sunday, the 28th of April, as the year flies by and, of course, the election nears, and as we continue to watch the Democratic Party blame everybody for every problem except themselves, who have actually created most of the problems that are in this country, from racism to hatred to everything else that we see wrong in America today. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, Governor Newsom. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. Now, again, I am not letting off the hook anybody in the Republican Party either, but the things that are happening today are the responsibility of the people that I just named. The stealing goes on by all of them. Okay, so again, when it comes to bipartisanship, stealing is bipartisan, and as long as you continue to let them, the government will steal your money. And of course, the 7 most hated words or feared words are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Well, they're not. They're here to help relieve you of your cash, relieve you of your freedom, relieve you of everything except the things you value most. Okay? So, at the end of the day, we've got an amazing amount of protesting going on in this country. And once again, under the watch of the Biden administration, we've had the protesters in the pro-Palestine protesters, which is ridiculous, and of course we've got the cancellation of some commencement speeches because of this ridiculous protesting, and of course you've got the NYPD warning that protesters shouldn't be protesting. Why are they not cracking heads and getting them out of there? Where is the law and order in this country? It is amazing how crazy things have become that we have no law and order anymore. We have no police don't want to do anything. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to say anything against the police. I think it's the government that does not allow our police department to do their job. Okay, and of course we can go back to the Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd's matter, which the cop was 100% wrong and should have been arrested, which is what caused a lot of the problems. But you do have one big problem here, which is the same problem in Black Lives Matter, was the same problem in Occupy Wall Street. You have George Soros funding the protesting. Okay, so what did that tell you when, first of all, a miserable piece of shit in George Soros, who continued to do things, and going back to when he was a kid as a Jew, turning in Jews to the Nazi Germany, to now supporting and funding the protesting groups, which he has done, and it has been proven that he is the money behind all these things. What a nice human being he is. But again, it is certainly a charge against Israel and our number one ally, and it is just again another nail to take away the American freedom, okay, the American capitalism system, because we've got all of these people doing things that are against everything that we fought for 250 years ago. It is amazing that we are watching the destruction of a once great country. Now, it still may be the best country in the world, but it is certainly narrowing the gap, and you're never supposed to narrow the gap by going backwards. And of course, as we've talked about, I don't know, ad nauseum here, okay, Americans are making less than they're spending. We had another report this past week, and of course, the income increase, 0.5%, the income outlay, 0.8%. So again, just do the math. How long does it take you to go broke? Spending is out of control. Debt is out of control, not only at the government level, not only but at the personal level. And of course, this is something that, eventually will have to be paid for. Now, you must know that credit card debt is not dischargeable, and we have never seen this amount of debt. Really, it's not the amount, but it's the number of people that are maxed out on their credit cards and are paying the minimum. And of course, if you look at the banks, they had their worst weekly decline in deposits since 9/11. Now, again, we know it's tax season, so some of that money goes to tax season. But again, it's simply 9/11, 23 years ago. This is the lowest amount of deposits into a bank. What does that tell you about the shape of the consumer? Okay, the consumer, you may think it's in good shape, you may be happy, but as you will find out that even in the restaurant business, the more expensive restaurants are now losing their patrons because the wealthy are saying, well, we'll cut down a little bit, and those that were shopping at the Darden restaurant chain are now not shopping there. They're at a lower level, and the people that were at the more expensive restaurants are now at the Darden chain. So again, it's a real disaster, and of course you can look at that Joe Biden, the worst presidential approval rating in 70 years. So even though you all hated Trump, he has even surpassed Trump from an approval rating, from a negative approval rating. And of course, the election should be interesting. The real question is as the Democratic Party continues to scapegoat and still blame Trump for every problem that there has ever been, and of course it's easy to blame others instead of taking care of itself. But if you look at your representation, forget about what party they belong to. Should we have an idiot as a vice president and a dementia patient as the leader of the free world? I don't know. You got to ask yourself that question. I mean, I don't know that that's what you really want with the codes for the bombs, but I think that you'll see that the Supreme Court is going to stop the nonsense with Trump and going to. I don't think there'll be any verdicts. I don't think there'll be any trials. I don't think there'll be anything else until after the election. And of course, I'm sure that the party in power is going to try to do something to do more, because that's all they've ever done. I mean, if you look at it, since 2016, all they've done is pick on Trump and try to get him to get dirt and information on him. And nobody looks at the Clintons, who somehow amassed from a poor little Arkansas a farmer ended up being worth billions of dollars. It's always amazing how you wonder what these things are going. And of course, the Biden is using the scapegoating the inflation curve. Look, the bottom line is simple. Inflation is not what they're telling you. It is much higher. Have you paid for gas recently? Have you gone to the grocery store recently? The prices are not coming down. Okay, that is the one fact, and the one fact you want to remember is that they may be coming down at the wholesale end, but at the retail end, they're not coming down. And that doesn't help you. Okay, it may help profits, which again, I'm not opposed to profits and I'm not opposed to capitalism. In fact, I think we should go back. I mean, we're raising another generation of morons that have no financial literacy, that have no understanding of how the systems work. And you have teachers that don't want to teach it. Now, do you think it's right to only teach one side? That is more Marxism and communism than anything else. And of course, the Federal Reserve, they have no credibility. They're a bunch of morons as well. Okay? They're another system that is so far off mandate, okay? Because the Federal Reserve's mandate are simple: jobs and price stability. Not worrying about whether the market's going to collapse today or tomorrow. Not worried about interest rates to try to control the market. Not try to get a president elected, but to just do their job. And when have you ever seen? I mean, I think that if somebody from the Fed speaks at least once a day, if not every day, it is just another really joke. But I think my biggest fear is the next man-made, manufactured pandemic, which you can bet your ass is coming. You're getting all this news about the bird flu and other things that are going on right now, and you can bet that they're going to try to turn this into something. Okay. Now, I don't know if they can get it done before the election, but you can bet there's another pandemic coming to continue to line the pockets of the big pharmaceutical, the very people that this administration cries and whines about and says that they make too much money. The administration is facilitating them to get this done. And as I said from the beginning, COVID was bullshit. It was a man-made disease that was sent here from China, and there's probably another care package on its way. And I think that is something to be concerned about, because the power of the government and the power of the people around that can create these things out of thin air, I think it's something to really think about. And last thing you really want to think about is, it is still my opinion, between Bill Gates, who is the number one owner of farmland in the United States of America, and China. I think China is trying to put their thumb on the scale to force grain prices lower, to force the American farmers to sell so that they can accumulate. If they control the food, they will control the country. Now, again, you can say I'm full of crap, but to me, it's a real possibility. And if you've listened to me for any length of time, a lot of the things I might say that sound outlandish generally come into play at some point. But of course, nobody wants to listen to George Orwell's 1984 or Edward Griffin's Creature from Jekyll Island. At the end of the day, a lot of those things come to pass. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, the 28th of April. We're going to step out here for a break, and we'll be back with our market report right after the break. What's up, kids? Well, busy weekend in Vegas. Our busy week in Vegas for our big convention. It was a great convention, and if you want to get involved, the live stream is available on recording, 20 hours of trading for $350, but certainly you can check it out by emailing me. But don't forget about our sponsors, TRADIER Brokerage, who is, again, for equities, $10 a month flat, saves me $100,000 a year. Check them out. Their website's on the side. And of course, Capital Trading Group. And I remind you that I do have other brokers. And I also remind you that if you're trading futures, use a futures broker. If you're trading options, use an equity broker. You should not be mixing the two together, because none of them do a good job at both. In the meantime, Capital Trading Group, info.capitaltrading.com/Bubba. And of course, Wealth Charts, which is one of our new partners. And of course, don't forget about our high school program, which, again, obviously, what makes it such a challenge is that our teachers that get paid, that are unionized and can't be fired, are too damn lazy to want to teach it. It's a free program that I funded myself, and now some of you help me through Patreon, and yet the teachers don't want to teach it. What does that say about the shape this country's in? Let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my market report right now. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz, and of course, what a wild week on Wall Street. Markets were up, and then they were getting creamed, and then suddenly on Thursday afternoon, the market soared on earnings, and from Microsoft and Google. Of course, nobody talks about IBM that got creamed. And then, of course, continued into Friday, in which the market soared higher, and once again having an up week for the first in a while. Now, the question is, was it a dead cat bounce, or is it the start of the next bull market leg? Nobody knows the real answers to that. The only answer I know is that the trend for the long-term futures is still lower and is still down. Again, I think the earnings is a bunch of horseshit, and only because the very simple fact that they underpromise on purpose so that they can overdeliver to create the buyers to step into the market. And I think that's the bad, or the sad situation. But if we look at the indices, they were higher for the week. We are still, or would be short all four. Now, you know that we do go flat. So, but the net trend is short and down and lower. So we are still short by position. But of course, we don't know our trade direction until tomorrow morning. The dollar continues to rally. And of course, again, everybody keeps worrying about the dollar. The dollar is strong. And again, we don't trade it anymore, and it's not because we are worried about the dollar. It's just because it's a cost issue of dealing with New York. But we would be long, but we no longer trade it. The euro currency, we were still short, which was lower. The bonds and notes continued to get thrashed. They're up a little bit on Friday, but again, interest rates are higher. The 10-year got over 4.7 last week, and I think that it's probably going to get to 6 or 7% before the year's over, which is a gigantic move. Bitcoin, it came down to that 60,000. We're still short Bitcoin. But again, I thought 60 was a pretty good hold, and we'll see where it goes from here. It may not go up tomorrow. Again, it may be still in a downtrend, which it is. So we'll see. In the metals, gold, we're still long. Silver, we're still long. And again, they look really good, but there's going to be some pullbacks. Don't think that markets just go straight up. There's going to be some pullbacks, and I think that it's something that you have to look at. In the meantime, copper continues to run higher, which makes absolutely no sense based on the current economic conditions, but obviously there's something more going on, and more than I know. And of course, China does control the London Metals Exchange, which is where most of the copper is dealt from. So, but we are still long. Grain markets, we're long corn, we're long wheat, we're short beans, and they seem to be trying to bottom. But again, this goes back to my theory that China may have their finger on the scale and may be pushing down and trying to force farmers to liquidate their land. And that's, excuse me, a real problem. In the meats, cattle is pushed higher against, we don't trade anymore, but I do, and I've been short cattle, taking a little bit on the chin right now. But I don't know what consumer can afford to continue to buy beef, which is why hogs have been higher. And of course, they got hammered on Friday a little bit, but hogs have been running a little bit higher. And I think that the right trade is short cattle, long hogs. And of course, natural gas is in a downtrend again, and again, not surprising. And crude oil is in an uptrend, and we're long. And I think you consider to look at what's going on here. And again, I just bought gas on Friday at Costco, which in Vegas was $4.50. My God, I can't believe what's going on with this price, these prices. In the softs, cocoa continues to charge higher. We continue to be long. Cotton, we're short. Sugar, we're short. OJ, we're long. And coffee, we are going to reverse the short tomorrow. Okay, because it doesn't open until tomorrow. So we're going to reverse coffee to short tomorrow. But the bigger picture is I think that this is nothing more than a dead cat bounce. I would look for opportunities to sell it for now. And I do believe that we are going lower, and this is just a start. And I think there's going to be some pretty tough news coming out. The only thing that might hold it back is the potential of the election. But if we do go back to 2008, that is when Paulson made the statement that the banks are in great shape, and we all know that was bullshit. In the meantime, let us step out for our final break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We'll be right back with our market commentary, after the break. What's up, kids? Had a long week in Vegas. Just to remind you, our partners are broker partners. I do have other brokers, but Capital Trading Group, TRADIER, Wealth Charts, and of course our high school program. Everything's drilling on the sides or on the bottom. And of course, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. And of course, every week I give you my opinion almost the whole show, but I do always pick up one specific topic. And, it's amazing how we watch the party in power continue from blaming Trump to blaming everyone else for the problems while they allow the pro-Hamas, the pro-Palestine riots to go on. And you may not call them riots, but they're not peaceful, as they continue to say. And I think that they've done a lot of damage to one of our best allies in the Middle East, in Israel. And I think it just goes to show you that this administration is trying to destroy democracy. They are trying to destroy your freedom. They are trying to take your money. And I think that it is time for you to step up and decide if you want to be a socialist country and let the rich run your life, or do you want to continue to have the ability to be a capitalist and make your own way in this country? Because between the moronic decisions made by the Federal Reserve and between the moronic decisions made by our leadership, we are in a world of hurt right now. And if you don't think so, well, I don't know about you, but certainly my expenses have dramatically gone a lot higher. My safety has gotten a lot less when I walk around and see what's going on. So if you're happy with this, hey, when November comes, keep voting the same shitty way. But if you want to make change, the only way we can make change is either at the voting booth or on the battlefield. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. And until then, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.